Hey guys, this is your host Thomas Irie here from On the Hot Podcast. Today, this will be the Combat Series episode number 139 for you guys today. And to kick off the Combat Series this week, we'll start off in the sport of boxing, and I'll be sharing my own personal updated men's boxing pound for pound list. So my list will start at number 1, and we'll go all the way down to number 10 in that particular order. Number 1, I do believe that Alexander Usyk still remains the number 1 pound for pound boxer and my updated men's pound for pound list. Now, I do believe that Alexander Usyk should be number 1 on the men's pound for pound list after Terence Crawford has retired from the sport. Alexander Usyk has proven that he has been one of the greatest boxers that we've seen in the 21st century. I mean, the man is a 2-time undisputed champion in 2 different weight classes, an undisputed champion at cruiserweight and an undisputed champion at heavyweight. And he's actually became an undisputed heavyweight champion on 2 different occasions. And he currently is the unified heavyweight champion, and his resume is very impressive. He defeated Tyson Fury twice at heavyweight, defeated Anthony Joshua twice at heavyweight, defeated Daniel Dubois twice at heavyweight. So I do believe with that type of resume, Alexander Usyk deserves to be number 1. Number 2, I'm going to go with Inoue Inoue, another fighter that has became undisputed 2 times in his boxing career in 2 different weight classes. He's a knockout machine. To some, and I want to say for some casuals, they don't give Inoue Inoue the respect because he fights at the lower weight classes, but this guy is kicking asses and taking names, fighting the best at the lower weight classes to prove why he should be one of the best in the sport today. So he's number 2 on my list. Number 3, we're getting a little dicey here. I'm going to go with Dmitry Bivol. Dmitry Bivol is the unified light heavyweight champion in the sport of boxing today, former undisputed champion at the division. But he's the only guy in boxing history to defeat Canelo Alvarez and Arthur Beterbiev. Nobody else in the sport of boxing can say they defeated those 2 type of fighters on their respective resumes. So I do believe he's still top 3 in the sport. Now, number 4, this is a fighter that has clearly climbed up in the men's pound for pound rankings, and that's Shakur Stevenson. I'm going to put Shakur Stevenson at number 4 here. He's a 4-division world champion at 28 years of age. That impressive BTA special that he gave Teofimo Lopez a weekend ago to become the new WBO and Ring Magazine champion at the super lightweight division Shakur deserves to be in the top 4, top 5 in your pound for pound conversations. Number 5, I'm going to go with Bam Rodriguez. Bam Rodriguez is starting to win me over in the lower weight classes, but he's one hell of a fighter and a dominant 2-division world champion. Another fighter just like Inoue Inoue. Doesn't get all the credit in the world for fighting at a lower weight class, but he's kicking asses and taking names, beating the best fighters that is presented to him at his weight classes, and he's been a dominant force in the sport of boxing. I think he deserves to be number 5. Number 6, I'm going to go with Arthur Beterbiev here. Now, Arthur Beterbiev is a former undisputed light heavyweight champion. Number 7, I'm going to go with the WBC light heavyweight champion, David Benavidez. I think he deserves to be in a top 10 pound for pound conversations. Number 8, I'm going to go with Devin the Dream Haney, already a 3-division world champion before cracking the age of 30 years of age. Number 9, I'm going to go with the great Canelo Alvarez, one of the greatest resumes of all time, but he is starting to slow down. And number 10, I know people are going to say, where's Nakatani? I'm not putting him here. I'm putting Jaron Ennis in the top 10 for my pound for pound list. So that's going to close it out there. But let's go to a deeper dive of the reasons why I have these particular fighters in order for my men's pound for pound list. So again, number 1 is Alexander Usyk. I think Alexander Usyk takes the number 1 spot after Terence Crawford retired late 2025. So once a fighter retires, you remove them from the list. We know Terence Crawford is all-time great. You remove them from the list, and now Alexander Usyk gets inserted to the 1 spot, in my opinion. And looking at Alexander Usyk, he has 24 victories, 0 losses in his boxing career, 15 victories come away of knockout, currently the unified heavyweight champion, and he's a 3-time undisputed champion in his boxing career total. He's been undisputed 3 times. And for people wondering what happened at heavyweight, well, the first time he was stripped because the IBF wanted Daniel Dubois to be in line to fight for the title. He just gave up the title, vacated it, and then re-won it against Daniel Dubois last summer. And then the WBO situation, he was supposed to fight as mandatory, and he was just stripped of the title. So that's why he only holds 3 out of the 4 titles at this heavyweight division right now. But like I said, you guys got to think about it. Alexander Usyk, a natural-born cruiserweight, moving up to heavyweight and defeating the best fighters that the heavyweight division has seen in the last 5 to 10 years. That's really remarkable. Tyson Fury, he took Tyson Fury's zeros and is the only fighter in boxing to ever defeat Tyson Fury. He did it twice. He defeated Anthony Joshua twice and knocked out Daniel Dubois on 2 separate occasions. That is a remarkable resume, and I do believe, pound for pound, you're daring yourself to be great. This man moved up to heavyweight, no rehydration clause, no catch weight, no nothing. I'm just going to be the smaller guy. I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to take your titles, and I'm going to be great. So therefore, I do believe that Alexander Usyk has to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport today. Then you look at number 2, Noi Inoue here. Again, another phenomenal fighter. 32 victories in his box career, 0 losses. 27 victories come away of knockout. Undisputed featherweight champion as we speak today. And honestly, this is another guy that deserves to be right behind Alexander Usyk the pound-for-pound list. We're talking about Noi Inoue that fought 4 times in 2025 and defended his Ring Magazine title 4 times, and that's the first time we've seen somebody do that in countless decades in the sport. So Noi Inoue, daring himself to be great, went 4-0 in the calendar year 2025. And honestly, if he can make easy work of Nakatani and defeat him within 6 to 7 rounds, I honestly would have to take him, put him at the #1 spot and put Alexander Usyk at the 2nd spot. But I do believe that Noi Inoue deserves credit. 2nd best fighter in my opinion. Number 3 here, Dimitri Bivol. Now, this could be controversial, but let's talk about Dimitri Bivol here. We can't forget about the greatness that this man is bringing to the sport. 24-1 in his boxing career, unified light heavyweight champion, another fighter that became undisputed, but due to the sanctioned bodies was stripped of his title, and that's why David Benavidez is the light heavyweight champion, the WBC light heavyweight champion right now. But again, Dimitri Bivol is the only man in boxing to defeat Canelo and Artur Beterbiev. That is very remarkable. Mind you, at the time when he defeated Canelo, this is when Canelo was still in his prime to a lot of boxing fans. And that was the 2nd loss that Canelo Alvarez suffered in his boxing career, losing to Dimitri Bivol in dominating fashion. And then you're talking about Dimitri Bivol fighting Artur Beterbiev that had nearly 100% knockout ratio in his boxing career, found a way to outclass and outbox him, win 8 rounds to 4 to become undisputed. He's still recovering from a back injury. We'll probably see him springtime, early summer to return back to the sport, but you guys can't forget how great Dimitri Bivol has been. He's number 3. And then I'm looking at number 4. Shakur has climbed up the rankings massively. Now, Shakur is number 4 to me. 25-0 in his boxing career with 11 victories come away of knockout. Currently the WBO super lightweight champion and the Ring Magazine champion. And he climbs up massively in the rankings after making easy work of Teofimo Lopez. Again, that fight a weekend ago, I scored the fight 11 rounds to 1 in favor of Shakur Stevenson. Masterclass performance. We're talking about this was a 50-50 fight. And Shakur made it look like Teofimo Lopez was a C- D+ fighter. And he made an A+, A- fighter look very average. I think being a 4-division world champion, one of the fastest 4-division world champions in boxing history, we're talking about names of Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, and a lot of other fighters that became 4-division world champions very quickly in their boxing careers. Now Shakur is up with, he's in the conversation with the all-time greats, and I do believe that Shakur Stevenson does deserve his credit to be known as a top 5 pound-for-pound fighter. And then number 5, Bam Rodriguez. Now, Bam Rodriguez is quickly becoming one of my favorite boxers to follow. Again, 23 victories, 0 losses, 16 victories come away of knockout. Currently the unified junior bantamweight champion, and he has defeated the best fighters that the lower weight classes has to offer. And if you guys looked at his latest performance in November when he fought Martinez, he knocked him out and made easy work of him to collect 3 out of the 4 titles at the bantamweight division. So Bam Rodriguez deserves his credit, a top 5 pound-for-pound fighter for sure. Number 6, Artur Beterbiev. Now, this is a guy that was formerly known as an undisputed champion around this time last year. He has 21 victories, 1 loss, 20 victories come away of knockout. That's a 95% knockout ratio. Former undisputed light heavyweight champion. He deserves his credit. And number 7, my guy David Benavidez. Now, he's again climbing up the pound for pound rankings in my opinion. Old school fighter. 31 victories, 0 losses, 25 victories come way of knockout. Again, the WBC light heavyweight champion, a 2-division world champion. Now, he collected this title at 175 in a way he didn't want to. He did want to fight Dmitry Bivol, guys. But at the time, Dmitry Bivol was going to honor the trilogy with Artur Beterbiev, and he was the mandatory, so therefore Dmitry Bivol was stripped of the WBC title. David Benavidez was the interim champion and then was elevated to become the light heavyweight champion of this division. That's why he has the title. He was never ducking Dmitry Bivol. He always wants to squabble the smoke. And like I said, he's a throwback fighter. He wants to fight the best. Look at David Benavidez' resume, guys. He's defeated Anthony Durrell, Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andre, Alexander Govskik, David Morrell, and Anthony Yarde. That is a solid boxing resume, and he could put your favorite fighter on there if they wanted to fight him for so many years. Canelo Alvarez clearly ducked David Benavidez, so he wants to smoke. He calls out guys like Canelo, Artur Beterbiev, Dmitry Bivol. He wants to prove why he's the best in the sport. He just needs the clear opportunity, in my personal opinion, to assess if he can be a pound-for-pound legend or climb higher up in the pound-for-pound rankings. But I do believe that David Benavidez is a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter at the number 7 spot. Now, number 8, you got Devin Haney. They call him Debo Haney now. Debo Haney. But Devin Haney is 33-0 in his boxing career. Again, we know the loss against Ryan Garcia is now labelized as a no contest. He has 15 victories coming away of knockout, 3-division world champion, currently the WBO welterweight champion. He just had a masterclass performance against the boogeyman at 147 and Brian Norman Jr. Moved up in his second fight of the division, made easy work of Brian Norman Jr. So I think he has proven why he is a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter. And this is another guy that's daring himself to be great. Look at Devin Haney's resume. Big wins against George Kambosos, beat him twice to become undisputed. He defeated Vasily Lomachenko. He defeated Regis Prograis, who was the boogeyman at 140 once upon a time ago, and Brian Norman Jr. So he's building up one hell of a resume. I do believe that's he's deserving to be in the conversation to be a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter. So I got him at 8. 9 is Canelo. We know that Canelo is an all-time great, one of the greatest to ever do it. 63 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws, 39 victories come away a knockout. He has one of the greatest resumes of all time, 2-time undisputed super middleweight champion, the only fighter to become undisputed at the super middleweight division. The only thing is, I think Father Time is starting to catch up to Canelo Alvarez. Clearly, he has not been the same since that 22 loss against Dmitry Bivol. His game has been inclining ever since. Has not had a knockout victory since 2021. Just suffered his 3rd career loss against Terence Crawford. But you still got to put him at least in the top 10 pound-for-pound rankings due to the fact of his greatness during his boxing career. And at number 10, I'm going to go with Jaron Ennis. Again, Jaron Ennis is a fighter that is deserving to be on the pound-for-pound list. 35 victories, 35-0, 31 victories come away of knockout. He's the former unified welterweight champion at 147, the division that he once was in. He just held, before moving up to 154, he held the WBA, IBF, and the Ring Magazine title. And he made Stanionis look very average to unify the titles. And again, even though this is a division that was dying down and writing new chapters because Terence Crawford and Earl Spence were no longer a part of this division when they reigned supreme, holding all the titles for countless years, Jaron Ennis wanted to fight the best at this division. And he could have stayed around longer to fight possibly Devin Haney or Brian Norman Jr., but this guy stayed at 147 for a majority of his career. His body couldn't make the weight anymore. It's time to move up. He's a ferocious, dangerous puncher. And I think with the right opportunity in 2026, for anybody that's questioning why Jaron Ennis should not be, or why would you put him on pound-for-pound list, he's going to show you very, very soon. And I'm not going to put Nakatani because I do believe Nakatani looked very vulnerable. He got exposed in his last performance in December, and that's a fight that he honestly could have lost. So that will be my honorable mention, Nakatani at 11. But I think Jaron Ennis should take the 10th spot. But that is my updated men's pound-for-pound list in the sport of boxing today.